I'm excited about tonight, and I'd like to bring out our first guest. I would describe him as the quintessential rock photographer. He has been chronicling the rock scene from the days of Ike and Tina Turner right up until today, from folk rock to punk rock, from R&B to glam rock. He's done it all. For a decade, he was the personal photographer of John and Yoko, author of many books, among them John Lennon, The New York City Years. And he was recently the subject of a really terrific documentary on Showtime called Rock and Roll Exposed, the photography of Bob Gruen. Well, please welcome Bob Gruen.
A big fan of John and Yoko. I thought that the things they were doing were really, catching everybody's attention. They had a sense of humor, but they were so important. They were speaking about peace and love, and that's all they ever spoke about was peace and love in a positive way. One time Yoko mentioned to me that they were never really against war, they were in favor of peace. And so it was very exciting for me to be in the Apollo, and suddenly John and Yoko were there, and I ran down front, and I took some pictures, and John kind of said to the people gathered around, people are always taking our picture, we never get to see them, And I said, well, I live around the corner, I'll show you my pictures. And he said, you live around the corner? And I said, yeah. He said, well, just slip them under the door then, which I thought was very neighborly, And I went by, and I didn't slip them under the door, I rang the bell, I went that far, And I remember saying I had something for John and Yoko, and Jerry asked if they were expecting me, and I said, no, I'm just going to leave this for them. And years later, Yoko mentioned that I was one of the very few people who came to the door and didn't want something from them, but just gave them something.
How did that evolve that you became their go-to person and their personal photographer, essentially?
I took good pictures of them, and I never embarrassed them. Part of the deal from the beginning was that I would have access with them if I showed them my pictures and only use the ones they liked. Now, some photographers consider that censorship, and they don't want to be told what to do. I consider that working with an artist, because I would like to put out pictures that they like.
Right.
And I would like them to hire me again. So I want them to like my photos. I'm in it for the long run, not to just make some money the next morning. So it was the first or second week in December, and I was just visiting, as I often did. We were watching TV. And so the doorbell rang. Now, in the Dakota, they have very high security. We're very nervous that, somebody was banging on the door in the middle of the night without being announced. And it really was a very, very scary moment. And John said, go out there, because there was no maids or anything at that point. It was just John, Yoko, and Sean in the apartment. And he said, can you check it out, see who's at the door? And they have a double door in the Dakota. There's a lot of security up there. So I opened the inside door of the apartment, and I heard people singing Christmas carols. We wish you a Merry Christmas, that kind of thing. And I yelled back, I said, oh, it's just some kids singing Christmas carols, like not to be so paranoid. And I opened the door, and there was Paul and Linda McCartney. And I was a little embarrassed. I said, I'm sure you're not looking for me. Come on in to see John and Yoko. And they came singing into the bedroom. And in spite of people, you read in the paper there was animosity between the Beatles, they were very friendly that night. They were hugging and saying hello. It was like old schoolmates, glad to see each other. It was getting close to the holiday time. We got some tea, and they were sitting around talking.
But there are no photos of this, right?
No, I had my camera as usual, but I was kind of waiting for them to ask me to take a picture or even a Polaroid or something, but they never did. And it was such a friendly, just friends meeting kind of thing. I didn't want to intrude and make it a newsworthy moment, even if it was to the world. It wasn't to them. And that's the kind of thing where I gain people's trust,
All right.
I wish they had asked me, because ever since people are asking me, where's the picture? Paul and John together? No, I don't have any pictures.
This is why people like
I didn't intrude
around.
On it.
Because
I wouldn't automatically start disrupting the moment and making it public. The reason we're all here is because the concert series carries on John's message and his music, and it's a really great thing that Joe is doing, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you so much.